Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today this is something I promised I'd do for one of my viewers. He was watching one of my videos I made way back in 2015 on how you use a series lamp limiter, or otherwise, like I say, known in the US as a dim bulb device. And I did a video on basically showing how you used it and the basic circuit behind it, but I never actually went into how you put one together. And he was asking whether I'd actually I said I'd do a video actually showing how you put one together, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm not going to explain how one of these works in this video or anything. It'd make the video a bit too long. So I'll put a link in the description from my original video back in 2015. And like I say, if you want to see how one of these devices works and how actually see me draw the circuit out for it, then go and have a look at that. So this is just literally going to show what bits you need, how easy it is to knock one of these little units up. And it is literally built out of bits and bobs I had lying around. The only thing I had to go and buy, because I didn't have one left, was that little lamp holder there. Everything else here is literally out of the junk box. I mean, even the cable I'm using, I've just cut off an old appliance that was going in the bin. So we've got a 13 amp plug with a piece of cable. It doesn't have to be too long. I mean, what's that? A couple of foot long, about half a metre. And I've stripped it off to bare ends there. We've got a piece of 2-core. Wouldn't matter if it was 3-core, to be honest, and a couple of extra bits of cable there. We've got an old single 13 amp socket. Again, it's one that I've just I think I took it out of a house when I replaced it with a double or something like that, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just an old socket. It'll work fine for this. Again, old back box, some general fixings. We've got a bit of connector block, we've got some back box screws, we've got some short screws. Light switch, again, just one that I've taken out of somewhere. It's not a new one. Back box for that. And like I said, the lamp holder I did have to buy, and I paid a whole whopping £1.49 for that. So I think it was either £1. It was either 99 or £1.49. I think it was £1.49. And the wood is an off a shelf that was too long that I had to chop off. And it's just about the right size for this. So without further ado, let's get on to building this thing. The first thing we need to do is mount the two back boxes that we're going to use, and we are going to have to bring some cables out between the two, so we want to knock the little knockout on this one. Really cheap crappy plastic one this, but it doesn't matter. So you could build this thing with all new parts if you wanted to, if you went to B&Q or somewhere like that for not exactly a lot of money. It'd probably cost you about 10 or 15 quid for all the bits. But it's literally stuff you can either pick up for pennies at car boot sales, or you've probably got in a junk box if you're anything like me. So let's screw them into place. Oops. Try not to use screws that are too long, which are going to screw into your desk. I think these might be a little on the long side, so I'll put them in at an angle. There we go, that'll hold that. Put one more in up there. This is really going to, I mean, if you take your time on this, you can make it look really neat and tidy. I'm just doing a super fast little rush job on it, really. But I just want to show, like I said, what's involved, and that they are a really easy little device to make. And then we'll perhaps get back on with that little Sinclair amp. See what we can do with that, and then I promise you we'll get back on with them Commodores as well, and get back on to doing something with some computing bits. I do like to mix things up. I don't like to just mess with one thing at once. That should hold that. Put one more in there and that should hold it. we go. That's going to hold it nice and tight. Right, let's put the first piece of wire in, which is going to be this one here. And thread that through that hole there. And what we will do is we're going to tie a knot. In fact, do we need to tie a knot in, or should we put a couple of cable ties? Let's see if we can tie a knot in it. We just want something to basically to stop that being able to pull back through the bottom of the box. You could, I mean, if you use proper plastic boxes, you could put a proper stuffing gland in there. My other lamp limiter that I have, that's how that's built. It's got a proper like stuffing gland in it, and the cable's done in properly like that. I'm just literally showing you here how easy and simple you can knot one of these together. So that'll be all right down there like that. And what we can do, have I got my little hammer up here? Yes, I have. We take one of these little clips. I know they're not intended for this type of cable, but like I say, it doesn't matter, it will work. Put one of these little clips on there. Like that. And that'll just secure the cable, so that cable's going nowhere. Right, now we've got 3 wires here. The ones that were in the live one there, we want to send on into this next little compartment, like that. And then we've got the neutral and the earth there. We need to chop them down a little bit and just make them ready for going in the back of that socket. Now what you do want to do is you want to have enough cable that you can double it over a couple of times, because their main sockets, they're designed really for a bit of a thicker cable than this. But what I like to do is just get through this. There we go. And just strip it off like that. Twist it round and then just bend it over on itself. Like that, and it just gives you a little bit more to for the screw to bite down onto. Just cut that down a bit because that's a bit on the long side. And again, right. I think what we'll do next is we'll take the lamp there, and we'll get that wired up, and we'll secure that in position up there. In fact, I think this is going to be a little bit on the long side, so I'll shorten this wire. Like I said, I think that's going to be a little bit too long. Just bear with me a sec. Just cut the insulation here, and I'll take out what we don't need. There we go, that's a bit better. And in fact, we'll leave them long for the time being. And what we need to do is just need to notch out there on this light holder. Just take a little bit of the plastic out. These are cheap ones, and you can literally just cut a little piece out like that. Not quite as easy on the more expensive ones, which are like a porcelain and they chip out. But you need to get one that you can side mount the cabling on. Some of them they're only designed to be have the cabling come through from the bottom, and obviously where you can use them and trap the cable as it comes through, they're not obviously as good as using this type. Right, there we go, that's our wire. We'll just disassemble this to make it easier to fit that wire in through. Take that off. Take the locking ring off. And push that through there. Now there are 3 terminals on these. Now it's something modern now. That is just a termination for earth. We don't need it at all, because you're only going to need a line and neutral for a standard filament bulb. They just everything now seems to provide a termination for earth. Like I say, it's not actually necessary, that. Not in this application anyway. Let's see if we can find a smaller terminal driver. Where's my terminal driver gone? It should really teach me to get organised before I start making these videos and have all the tools set up ready for me, but oh no, I can never remember that. Let's see what we've got we can use as a terminal driver. That'll do. Stick that in there and that should work nicely. And the only daft thing is they actually mark it neutral and live on here, where it depends which side you put the bloody bulb in. You know, it's don't get me started on some of these ridiculousness we have now. Right, there we go. So let's connect that up. There we go, just like that, and we'll reassemble this. Like that. In fact, we won't put that back on just yet, but we'll reassemble that. We'll bring the wire out like that. And I think what we'll do is a little knock in there. Let's knock that knocking out. And we can bring the wire in through there, like that. Right, there we go. So that's where we're going to mount our bulb. I'll screw that into position. There we go, that's in position. No, we haven't screwed it down to the table, that's important. So that's our lamp holder. I'll just screw that little shady thing back on there. And here's our wiring. So we've got the two wires coming from the lamp there. Now, what we need to do is basically two of these wires go together like that, and that's the live coming from the mains, and one of the two wires coming from that. It doesn't honestly matter which one. Well, honestly, it doesn't matter which one either. Two of them need to go together. We'll just cut them to the same length. And we need to twist them two together, like that. And those two go to one side of this switch. Them two will go to the common there on the top of the switch. So we connect them two like that. Oops. There we are, there, so they go to the common on the top of the switch. This is only a single one-way switch. Sometimes you have an L1 and an L2 position. Just use the L1 position if it's one like this. This is just a simple one-way switch, so it doesn't have that problem. Right, so we've got this red coming back down there now. And what we need to do, we'll take a blue wire. We'll do blue for this one. And what we need to do with that, oh, excuse me. We'll just shorten that one down a bit as well, because it's a little bit on the long side. Strip it. And we'll take that other blue wire. And twist them two together. That's a little bit on the long side, we'll just trim the end off that. Like that. And that goes into the other side of the switch, like that. And that's basically that side of it done. This blue wire we've connected to the other end, we need to feed back down into where the socket's going to go. In fact, that should have really been a brown wire. Yeah, that really should have been a brown wire. Sorry. Imagine that wire there is brown, but it doesn't. Honestly, the colour code doesn't matter. But in fact, no. Let's change it. Let's do it properly. Let's change it. And then it's all the colour code at least matches. So forget what I said before. That brown wire that's come back down there, we do want a brown wire on it. Which we've got here. So we join that on. Like that. And that, like I said, goes to the other side of the switch. We'll screw that together. Like that. And bring that back through into this first. And that switch can basically what you want to make sure is that where it says top on the switch goes towards that there. Because that's switched in circuit. Sorry, that's I'll show you in a second anyway. We're going to mark up this switch in a second, but you've got to make sure that the common is connected the way I've said, and that where it says top on the switch faces towards the light bulb there. We'll just screw that down. There we go, that's that one in. And basically what you want to do, just take a pen and just write at the top there, in, and at the bottom, out. And basically, well, basically what that means is when you have it switched down like that, the lamp's out of circuit, and it's basically you're feeding the full mains voltage into the device. When you press it up like that, it's then in circuit, and the series lamp limiter is actually working. It's limiting the current through the device. So like I said, just mark it up in and out like that. Final things we need to do, we've got the three wires here. We've got blue, which is our neutral, straight from the plug there. The earth again, straight from the plug there. And we have this live here, which goes through the lamp limiter or the like I say, you've got basically the lamp and the switch to bypass it there comes back on that wire there. So let's just trim that down a little bit. We'll get these stripped and connected up. There we go. And lastly, we just need to connect it up. So live to live. Sorry, brown to live. Like that. Blue to neutral. Like that. Then we'll connect the earth up. There we go. So it's just like it would be blue to neutral, brown to live, earth to earth. Put that down there. We can just screw that in position. There we go, that's the first one in. Right. Put that one in there. And that's really it, that's all there is to it. Don't need them bits there. And all we do is we fit, it's got to be an old-fashioned filament bulb. Really you want ideally for, like, if you're working on say an old bedside radio, anything like that, you want say a 100-watt light bulb. If you're using, perhaps working on older TVs, you may even want like 150s, something like that. You can still buy these, but what you have to look for are rough service lamps. They do still sell rough service lamps in the old-fashioned filament 100-watt variety. I've got quite a few that I keep around, mainly for things like using in this. And that's it. That's really is all there is to building one of these things. I said I'm not going to demo it or anything. In fact, have I got anything I could demo it with up here? I don't know what I've actually got up here. I could quickly show it you working with. Let me have a really quick look round, see if I've got anything. Anything that really runs off. Ah, yes, I have actually. I've got an old record player here, which I don't think's in the first fit of youth, but I think we could possibly use it as a test device for this. Let's see if it's reasonably intact in the. Oh, perhaps not. No, I think it's a little bit too far apart inside for me to plug it in and do that. Never mind. This is something I will do a bit of a project on one day. What else have I got I could try plugging in? Just quickly. I've got an old Atari power supply here, that'd do as a quick test. Because it'll draw some current and you'll see the lamp light, and then when I obviously switch it out of circuit, the lamp will stop lighting. So we plug that in like that. When we plug the device that we want to limit the current of in like that. Oops, we knocked something off there. We switch on, and obviously this thing probably takes very, very little current, so you're not really going to see the you're not going to really see the bulb lighting. No, it must pull so little current you really can't see the. I wonder if I plug an Atari into it, see if that would make it draw a bit more current. I've got an Atari, I could quickly plug it into it. I've got an Atari. Let's have a look here. No, that wouldn't do. got one here. Just see if we can get this to make it pull a little bit more current. No, it still doesn't pull enough current to even try and light the bulb, unfortunately. Really, it's more if you're working on your old valve equipment. This anyway. But anyway, that I wasn't. This whole video wasn't showing you how to actually use one of these things. It was just showing you simply how quick and easy it is to knock one of these things up. And like I say, you don't need to go out and buy a load of expensive stuff to knock one up. You can knock one up from the junk box. Or if you want to do it a bit nicer, you can nip to B&Q and buy all the parts new and build it up like that. But it is a useful device, like I said, when you've found that old radio and you want to do your first power up on it. You're not sure whether mains caps are going to short or anything else is going to short out there that could potentially do more damage to it. So if you start it up through one of these, like I say, if anything catastrophic does fail, the light bulb glows brightly, it pulls all the current and stops further damage to the actual piece of equipment that you're testing and you're working on. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I say, it was just a quick little video just for my for one of my viewers, just to show how you knock one of these things together. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching and goodbye.